Hi, welcome to Clarksville Now's political forums for school board. This is the school board District 2 race, and we have with us the three candidates for the race, Kacie Bryant, Ritchie Patton, and Dr. Laura Barnett. And let's get started. So let's talk first about qualifications for the board. Ms. Bryant, can you talk about your qualifications to serve on the school board?
Sure. I'd like to start. My name is Kacie Bryant, and I'm a parent of two. I have a sixth grader and an eighth grader, and so I believe that gives me qualifications because I know a lot of what they're going through in school, and I know a lot of the school board right now. There's only one that actually has kids in the school district, so I just think that that's important in staying connected with the actual issues that are happening within the schools. I've been a leader in our community for about 6-7 years. I run a local business here and just business in general. I believe that I'm really good at bringing people together and figuring out problems and bringing the right people together to solve the problem. So I believe that's why I'm qualified.
Great, thanks. Mr. Patton, what about your qualifications for the board?
Yeah, so I myself have three children in the school system now, a high schooler, a middle schooler, and an elementary schooler. I'm a graduate of CMCSS myself, and so I've been through it, and I have a reason to really try and improve CMCSS. I really love Clarksville. I want to raise my family here. I want to raise my grandkids here. I want them to raise their kids here, and so I have that passion and that drive. I'm a veteran. I've worked in retail. I've worked in fast food. I got my degree as an adult. I got my bachelor's and my master's. I've worked in office buildings. I've worked in medical clinics. And so I really know what families struggle with, and I know what a diverse group of families will struggle with. And I know what looks like success, and I know what looks like failure, and I know how to help manage that and how to give strategies to families and how to give strategies to the administration and other elements of the school system. And so I think that all of those things combined really show that I'm very qualified to be a school board member.
Dr. Barnett, about your qualifications?
Thank you. My name is Laura, and I'm a Clarksville native who went to CMCSS schools, married Chris Barnett, who is also a CMCSS school graduate. We've raised our three children here in Clarksville, and they've gone to these schools. And so, like the other two candidates, I've had the experience of being the parent, but I have also been in the school as an educator. I spent 10 years at Northwest High School as an English teacher and then 18 years as an administrator, the principal of New Providence Middle School and Rossview Middle School, and had a lot of opportunities to learn behind the scenes what's happening in the schools and what the work is and what the struggles are and the creative solutions that can take place. The last 4.5 years, I've been at Austin Peay State University as a professor in the graduate program for the Masters in Ed Leadership. And I feel like I have the background to serve.
Great. All right, so let's talk about some of the issues that are coming up in the school board race. Kacie, with Clarksville's growth, CMCSS has struggled to keep up. What do you think is the best way to address overcrowding in schools?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I feel like in general, Montgomery County struggles with this all over. Obviously, we see our infrastructure, the traffic and all the things, parking and things like that. So I think coming together, we have a lot of really, really intelligent people here in our community, and I've realized that just working with businesses and working with the county and the city over the past 6 years that we have a lot of really great people in this community that also feel the same way. They want to fix these issues and these problems that we're facing as a community. And so I think to answer your question, a great way to incorporate that into CMCSS is to be better at being proactive instead of reactive. I think in general, we're a lot more reactive. We're like, oh no, there's people coming. Well, people are coming to Clarksville, whether we like it or not. And so I think sitting down, getting some of these minds together and figuring out a better way to grow, long term. And I think one of the big things is growing up. All of our schools are very wide. We take a lot of property, but I think, planning to where we're growing multiple stories and then also opening schools that aren't filled to capacity at the moment that they're opening is going to be a big problem solver for that.
All right. Mr. Patton, what about solutions for overcrowding in schools?
So one of the main tenets of my campaign and the platform that I'm running on is stability. When I think about the main points of stability within our school system, I think about stability for our students, for our teachers, for our facilities, and for our finances. And so when I look to what I would do and how I would vote on the school board, I always want to keep that future mindset in mind. And so looking at capacity and overcrowding, I think that in the past we haven't really taken a growth mindset. We've really taken a business mindset, having the right school in the right place at the right time, so that we're opening schools as they're needed. But a school system can't be run like a business. A school system must be run like a school system. And so our output is not to make money. Our output is to make our neighbors and the next people that will work with us, for us, or the people that will work for. And so we want to help to build that community. And to do that, we need schools that have the resources in place. We need schools that have the capacity as well. And so to do that, we have to offload some of the capacity in our traditional classrooms now. One of the ways that we would do that is by increasing our non-standard alternative approaches to school. And so that's things like the CMCSS academies, the virtual school, the adult high schools. All of those relieve stress from our traditional classrooms and improve access for our students that may need additional resources or additional access. And so that's how we come to it now, as we start advertising and expanding those services. And then when we look at near-term goals, we start building more schools, bigger schools. I'm always reminded of in 2022 when we gave away 11 acres to build tennis courts on school system property. We gave it away. Sure, we gave it to the county, but we gave it away. And so that's money that could have gone to future expansion, and that's space that could have gone to future expansion. And so when I think about those decisions that are being made where we're just giving away property, where we're just giving away what could be future expansion in the middle of town, I would make different decisions, and I would like to see different decisions being made with that future mindset, especially for growth.
All right. Laura, how about solutions for overcrowding in schools?
Thank you for asking. When I left Rossview Middle School, it was a school built for about 1,200 students, and we had 1,500. And so I know how the dynamic changes for education for students when it becomes crowd control. And I do think this is a really important topic. And I agree with both of these candidates. They have fantastic ideas. You know, traditionally the solutions are portables. They are doing half days, split days with students, or they're doing year-round school. And I think we've made a commitment in this community that we want to stay on our traditional school cycle. But we've gotten behind the 8 ball. We know we're going to increase by about 6% each year, if not more. We see it coming, and yet we've not really pulled the community together around the solution to build 2 schools at a time, or 3 schools at a time, if that's what it requires to relieve the overcrowding. And I feel like for the good of the students, the education they're receiving, their ability to participate fully in opportunities, we've got to be more forward thinking, and we've got to bring people around the problem solving. It is tough when the infrastructure doesn't allow us to get, from point A to point B in Clarksville, and we feel that maybe on a daily basis. But to be in the school and to understand what it does to students' education, I think is a voice that if we got in front of people with that, they would have a better understanding of what's critical.
Alrighty. So the next issue. In recent years, we've seen nationwide and local shortages in teachers and bus drivers. What do you see as the best solutions to these problems? Ms. Bryant?
Yeah, so in order to come up with a solution for this, I think we need to first define the problem. And I'm going to read off my notes a little bit because I want to be accurate on this. But 2 weeks ago, there was a presentation given at the school board meeting. It was a survey that was done by a third-party company called Upbeat, and it was a survey to all of the CMCSS staff. And the lowest scoring categories were career path, work-life balance, autonomy, and school and safety and order. And it just absolutely amazed me. I left that school board meeting so incredibly frustrated because they gave this entire presentation and they told us the issues that the teachers were feeling in these schools. The school board spent 5 minutes asking questions and discussing, that presentation. And then they turned around and spent 15 minutes and talked about naming the new school, which they talked about several times in a lot of other school board meetings. So I feel like that really showed, where the priorities are with our current school board. And that definitely has to change, because when you have a presentation that's given to a school board talking about these issues, that's a big deal. And it goes along with the teachers that I've talked about. My mother-in-law was a teacher at CMCSS schools for 30 years, and she quit because she retired early because she was frustrated. And a lot of it is behavior issues that are happening in the schools. It's the safety of the teachers, and it went right along with what the survey said. And these issues are not being talked about at school board meetings. And there was actually one of the people in the audience made a question or asked a question about how they're being addressed, and she was just like hushed under the table. And so I think in order to solve these issues, we really need to define the problem, and we need to come together, and we need to have real conversations about what the problems are and coming up with solutions.
Ritchie, how about that with the teacher and bus driver shortages?
Yeah, so from my point of view, the best place to get new teachers and bus drivers and other staff, because it's not just bus drivers. Bus drivers is what we talk about, but there's also janitorial staff, there's admin staff, there's people all over the school that are helping out. And so how do we attract them? And how do we attract good, qualified people that will come and take care of Clarksville? Well, we get them from our schools. We create more pathways. We create easier pathways for these students to attend our schools, graduate from CMCSS, go to some type of secondary learning, whether that be a trade school, whether that be a certification program, or whether that be a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, some other type of postgraduate degree. And we create pathways for them to then re-enter our schools as teachers, as leaders, as our colleagues that we're going to be working with. And so creating those pathways is going to be the best way to get people that are bought and sold into Clarksville. And so that's what I want to see. And I know now we have teacher programs or student-to-teacher programs that we have that aren't being filled up, and that's because the students see what the teachers are going through. They see that stress. They see a lack of professional development. They see a lack of personal development. They see a lack of work-life balance. The teachers are complaining about the administration, about funding, about standing in an old, outdated printer that they have to spend 2 hours to print out a couple packets because it just keeps breaking. And so the students hear this, and if I want to become a teacher in the future, I don't want to become a teacher anymore because all I'm hearing about is the problems that they're having and the issues that they're having. And so we really need to empower our teachers to make the decisions in the classroom. We need to empower our teachers to be the leaders in the school and to trust that they're going to educate our kids in what they think is the best way because they're the experts. And so when we put that trust into them and we empower them to do better, they're going to enjoy where they work. They're going to have, it's going to be a great place to work, and they're going to attract their friends. They're going to attract future college graduates, and they're going to attract our students that are in CMCSS schools now to come back and contribute back to our school system.
All right. Laura, what about you on teacher and bus driver shortages?
Thank you for asking. I know that locally and at the state level, there are several things that are in place that are intended to improve those situations, whether it is the pay and benefits for the bus drivers, the Grow Your Own programs. There's even a new program at the state level where teachers who have gone into retirement can return to the school system after 60 days, and they can work for their full salary plus 70% of their retirement benefit. And so there's a message, I think, for programs that are in place, but I think realistically, having been in those schools, what I see is that the culture has everything to do with the teachers being resilient and wanting to stay in that work and recruiting new teachers to that environment. If I were going to make one suggestion for the school system, especially around teachers, it would be that we look into funding for additional paraprofessionals. There's so much being put on teachers today, so many responsibilities, so many expectations, so many things that they have to accomplish and achieve, and it's hard for them to be sick and take a day off. But if we had paraprofessionals in the building who could help support our students and help support our teachers, we had great leadership, and we made good choices about the way we run our schools, I think we could turn this thing around very quickly.
All right. The next issue, school boards are now responsible for approving and giving some oversight for charter schools. How do you feel about charter schools and their implementation?
This is the question, the million-dollar question that I know a lot of people are so torn on.
There's a lot of feelings about it.
A lot of feelings, yes. I'm not against charter schools. I actually, as a parent, I believe that more choices is what I would like to see. But they also have to be done well. And I think a lot of the solutions that they have presented, and one of the reasons that they haven't passed is because there are a lot of holes in it. And so I think, again, one of the things that I believe I bring to the table is bringing people in that can help contribute and come up with good solutions for these is going to be really important. And I know a lot of this comes from the state level, and there's not a whole lot as far as all the details that go into it that the school board has. But I do think that, again, having more options is better than having less as a parent, and I think that we need to come up with a good way of implementing the charter schools, which has not been presented yet.
Ritchie, how about you on charter schools and their implementation?
So, just up front, I don't think that charter schools are a good idea, but also I think the topic of charter schools is really a topic of the day. And that's something that I would like to see our school board move away from, is dealing with these things that pop up, and then we spend 15 minutes naming a school, and then after we've already spent hours doing it. And so the real question to me is, do I want to see public funds being used for private schools? And the answer is no. Like I said before, one of my main strategies when I get on the school board will be to always take that future mindset, looking at growth, looking at financial stability, looking at teacher stability. And so when I look at charter schools, when I look at vouchers, when I look at spending public funds on private schools, we're taking away that opportunity for stability. We're taking away the opportunity for future growth. And we're relying on outside resources to come in and fix the problems that our school system may or may not have. And so I'm not a fan of the charter schools. I'm not a fan of using any kind of public funds to go towards private education in that sense. And so while I wouldn't outright say that no matter what charter school comes to me, I'm going to deny it, because I will evaluate any proposal. It's not the kind of person that I am to just say this is how I'm going to be every time. This is how I'm going to vote every time. And so I will evaluate every charter school as it comes to me. But no charter school that I've seen, that I've researched, has ever popped up to me and been like, that was a really good idea. That worked really well. I actually have additional resources on my website at ritchiepatton.com with links to different charter school analysis where you can read and evaluate on some of the things that I've read and evaluated to see how charter schools aren't working, to see how I don't think charter schools would work within Clarksville. And so I don't think that it's the right move for Clarksville. And I think that we should really be focusing on how we can improve those internal things like the CMCSS academies and things like virtual school, which give those options without taking away funds from everyone else.
Okay. Laura, how about you on charter schools and their implementation?
Well, I would start by saying that it is raised often as a political issue, and really it's about the school system and whether it serves the needs of that system. And so a charter school is just an independent public school. And so once we allow someone to come into the community and create a charter school, what we have to believe is that taking funds away from our own children in the schools that they're in and allocating it to another school that's opening is somehow going to create a better condition for our students. And I think there are communities where it has been very successful. I would cite Memphis. I work with several students in the graduate program at Austin Peay who are in charter schools that are reward schools. And they do a fabulous job in the community they serve, and they solve a problem. But the problem they're intended to solve is that you somehow need to supplant what's happening in your public schools because it is so dismal that it could only get better. And what I've also found in working with educators across the state is that many charter schools are being run by people who don't know anything about education. They're being led by people who don't have a degree in leadership. And they have teachers in the building who don't have the credentials that we have in our schools. And so, not a political issue, but a student issue, a community issue. Do we feel like that someone coming into our community and setting up this type of establishment is somehow better for our students? Because I can tell you the things that have been added in, like the football being added into our middle schools, are the things that would go away as soon as you begin to strip money away from our district. If there's a day that we are doing so poorly that is the best alternative we have, I hope I'm not on the school board for that day. And I'm not against charter schools, but I think in this place and this time, it's not appropriate in our community.
Very good. All right. So let's go to closing comments. Ms. Bryant, closing comments?
Sure.
So 2 minutes each.
Okay, yeah, so I think that it's crazy because on one hand we're talking about overcrowded schools, and then on the other hand we're talking about not supporting charter schools. And I just think that I look at my friends and I mean they're taking schools out of the school district because they're homeschooling at a very high rate. I mean probably half of my friends honestly that have kids are pulling them out of the schools anyways, and they're doing other things. And so So I just think it's good to have these discussions, and I think that they are important as we're moving forward. But I love Montgomery County, and I'm very vested in our community, and I'm vested in our kids. I think that this is an amazing place to live, and our school district, I will say, is probably one of the best in the state. But we have a lot of work to do. The average math proficiency score is 25%, and the reading proficiency score is 31%. And there are problems, a lot of problems that aren't being addressed currently in the school board. Parents, I've done a lot of surveys. I've spoke with so many parents and so many teachers, and parents feel like their voice is not being heard. They speak to the school board, nothing happens. There's no follow-up. There's not any acknowledgement to their concerns. Teachers feel unsupported. They're being overworked. There's a lot of behavior issues in the schools that aren't being addressed. They're not even able to teach because a lot of these behavior issues are happening. And I believe that our kids deserve better, and I believe that I'm willing to stand up and I'm willing to really dig deep and do the work that needs to be done versus just sitting on the school board as a position that I get, that I show up and have esteem for. That's not what I'm in it for. I don't care to use this as my next political, step, as my first political step. I actually don't even like the politics at all. I just want what's best for our kids, and I'm willing to fight for it.
All right. Closing comments, Ritchie?
Yeah. So, as a veteran, I think that Clarksville serves a really great supportive role for our U.S. military members and their families, and I think that our school system is an integral part of that. I would like to see our community come back together. When I graduated from Northeast High School in 2004, it really felt like the schools and the families worked together. It felt like there was a lot more parent engagement, and it felt like the schools were working together with leaders of the community and other members of the community. And I don't really feel that anymore. It feels more political. It feels more contentious. And I would like to see a shift away from that and a shift back to focusing on our students. Our students really should be the core of our schools. That is our primary driver for why we want to see our schools be successful. That's my primary driver, is I want to see my kids be successful. I want to see their friends be successful. And so to do that, we have to have the right teachers in place. We have to have them trained. We have to have them happy, content, and we have to give them the opportunity to grow. I want to see the right buildings in place. We have to make sure that we have the capacity. Again, when I graduated from Northeast, an entire fourth of the school was unused at that time because there was going to be more growth coming, and we knew it was coming. And so instead of looking at how we can save and pinch every dollar, let's look and see how we can make sure that we're not disrupting these kids' lives. There are kids now, due to the last rezoning, that are having to commute. Commute is the best word for it, 30 minutes from downtown Clarksville to Rossview. And that's without traffic. And so if you imagine on a bus, if you imagine in the middle of traffic, that's very disruptive to these kids. As someone who used to commute to Nashville all the time, it was not good for my mental health. It was not good for my physical health. And so we're not serving our students. We're not serving our families by having these kids be on these buses and constantly disrupting them. We have kids that are going without food. We have kids that are sleeping in cars or sleeping outside or having to stay at friends' houses all the times. And so I think that there are things that our school district can do within our community to help improve the situation of those kids and help improve the situation across the board. And that's what I've said.
Laura Barnett, closing comments?
Thank you. I'm honored to be running with both of these Clarksville citizens who clearly care deeply about our students and our schools. And so I appreciate the opportunity to hear their voices as well today. CMCSS is ranked 45th in the state, which is below the 50% mark in terms of school systems. We used to be in the top 10, and I feel like our exponential growth has a lot to do with our inability to keep up with the needs of the students and the families and the teachers. And we've always operated on a shoestring budget, and we are paying teachers 42nd in the nation. And so I think some of this is going to come around to, are we willing to value what public school brings to children, which is their creativity, their developing logic, their social skills, their physical and mental health, their future work, their contributions to the community. As a lifelong educator, I believe that giving back to the school system and working actively to promote a better situation than we're in right now is a calling that I have. And I serve as a surrogate in the school system for students who are in foster care and don't have a parent who can attend an IEP or 504 meeting. I mentor principals in the school system. I teach at Austin Peay because education is my life belief. It's a mission field. It's a place that I'm passionate about. And as long as District 12 is covered by somebody who loves our students and puts them first and is solution-based, then we're going to be in good hands. I'm very interested at this stage in my life in giving back in a way that brings the experience that I've had to a place to benefit other people. So please go to my website, Barnett for School Board, and read more about me. Thanks.
Thank you all three so much for stepping up as leaders in the community. I think running for office is an excellent sort of example of leadership, and also for discussing these issues, bringing these issues to light and allowing us an opportunity to talk about them. Please be sure to vote in the upcoming election, regardless of your candidate, and thank you so much for attending.